Welcome to another episode of the All About Us podcast. Today, our topic is From Marine to Mindful Living, and our special guest is Benjamin Sley. How are you doing today, Benjamin?
Hey, Carl, I'm doing great. How about you?
Well, welcome back to the All About Us podcast. We tried to do this yesterday, and we had a few internet problems, so we're back here today. And Benjamin Sley is a former Marine who not only served our country, but also fought and won a different battle, the battle with weight and sustainable, healthy living. Benjamin, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Welcome, Carl. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Your journey is fascinating, from Marine to lawyer to chemist. But what really caught my attention was your transformation. You managed to lose 110 pounds and, more importantly, keep it off for 6 years. Let's start at the beginning. What was life like when you were serving, and how did the weight challenge begin?
Sure. Good question. I enjoyed the Marine Corps very much. They have an expression in the Marines: every day is a holiday and every meal is a banquet. Cite that in formation. And while that's not true, it helps keep your spirits up. And I appreciate
Correct.
it. So I had good duty. I served with some real heroes, and it was a great experience in my life. I wouldn't change it for anything. I joined in February of 1970, went to boot camp in the summer of 70, and got commissioned after boot camp in the summer of 71. I was in the Marine Corps ROTC type program called Platoon Leaders Class. And I was told that I wouldn't get sent to Vietnam after all. They were withdrawing Marine units and wouldn't resend them. And I learned about the law
Right.
option and went to law school at Baylor in Waco, Texas.
Okay.
Marines paid a good stipend most of my law school. And then I served on active duty as a judge advocate. It was
Okay.
a great experience. And as you know, Marines stay in shape. You have to.
Oh, we do.
Requirement. Yeah. Semper Fi. So I was in really good shape then, and enjoyed the experience of being in court nearly every day. But when I got out, things changed. With the long hours of working and not getting time to exercise, or not taking the time to exercise, a few pounds added on here and there, and by about 6 years or so after I got out of the Marines, I had gained 60 pounds and never was able to get below that. So for a period of about 30 years, I was 60 pounds to my all-time high weight, 110 pounds over my Marine Corps weight. And
And what was your Marine Corps weight and height?
yeah, I was 185. I'm 6'1".
Hmm.
I'm 183 now. So,
Okay.
and I may have shrunk an inch. So
Okay.
but uh, I'm right at my Marine Corps weight. In fact, that was really a goal that I had. As I said, I hadn't been able to fit
Mhm.
into my Marine Corps dress blues uniform in over 30 years. And somebody invited
Wow.
to a Marine Corps birthday ball. As you know, the Marine Corps
Hmm.
birthday is November 10th every year.
10
And they
every
invited
year.
me in May. So that was 6 months in advance of the birthday. I thought, hey, you know what? I can do this. I want to go to the birthday ball and fit in my Marine Corps dress blues uniform once again. So that gave me 6 months in which to lose 70. And I was able to do it because I had that
Hmm.
image in front of me. It was very specific. I took a picture of a Marine in dress blue uniform. I put it on my cork board, your visualization board. And I walked by,
Hmm.
kept that in front of me. That was my goal constantly, fit in that uniform. And
Okay.
mentioned I yo-yo dieted, and yo-yo dieting means you lose weight, but then you gain it back. Unless you make life-sustaining changes, long-term changes, that's what's going to happen with most people. And I
Hmm.
a lot of it back previously. This time I learned how to do it and what to do so that I wouldn't gain it back, be able to keep it off permanently, and it's improved my health greatly. I feel great now. I jog 3 miles nearly every day. I occasionally skydive. I play with my grandkids. I throw a football around, that sort of thing. Have a lot of energy. So it's transformed my life from being nearly sedentary with all of that extra weight and having heart conditions, high blood pressure, you name it. Now I don't have those things anymore. I feel better now.
Well, it transformed your life, made you into a new man. Feel like you did almost when you went in the Marine Corps.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. I feel better now than I did when I was 45 because when I was overweight,
Right.
I do those things. So I'm delighted to be able to do it and be able to serve others. As I served in the Marines, now I
Mhm.
want to serve others by helping them visualize and realize they can have this transformation and help them do it and accomplish it.
Now, there's a question I want to ask. I want to ask, how did we as Americans get to this point? 70% of Americans are overweight and 40% of them are obese. So, also in your answer, can you tell me or tell the audience what the difference is between just being overweight, obesity, and morbid obesity?
Sure, I'll be glad to. Well, Carl, if you look at a picture of people on the beach in the 1960s or 1970s, it's hard to find an overweight person. Even
You didn't.
Woodstock,
You're right.
occurred in 1967, 60, that time period. You couldn't find overweight people there, and it's not that that generation was less gluttonous or less hedonistic or something like that than today's generation. Something happened, and what happened was our food supply changed, and we have other things that cause weight gain, like heavy metals, ultra processed food, seed oils that go into the ultra processed food, and changes made in the food to actually make the food addicting and fattening to cause the overweight. Now, you asked what's the difference between overweight and obese. There's a
Mhm.
scale called the BMI scale that stands for body mass index. And what it
Okay.
says, if there's a number that comes out, it takes your age, your height, and your weight, and it multiplies and it gives you a number. And if that number is 25 or less, you are said to be at the right weight. If your number is 25 or more, like 25.1 and above, you're overweight. And so when they say 70% are overweight, that's what they mean. They have a BMI scale of 25.1 or more.
Mm-hmm.
To be obese, if that number, that same BMI number, was 30 or higher, then you're considered obese. And morbidly obese is if you have a BMI of 40 or higher, and currently nearly 10% of the public is morbidly obese. And what that means,
Wow.
you're about 100 or more pounds overweight if your BMI is 40. I was in that category for a while at 110 pounds above what
Amazing.
been, and by the grace of God, I was able to lose it and keep it off. That's but what changed from the 60s to now is they came out in the late 1980s, 1990s with something called the food pyramid. The U.S. Department of Agriculture published this, and it had
I
as
think that was more like the 80s, actually.
yeah, it was the 80s. That's right, and they really
Mm-hmm.
throughout the 80s and 90s, and that got they wanted to eliminate butter, animal fats, things like that from your diet. And they did. And they said these you should eat very sparingly. You shouldn't have them at all, but you should eat 6 to 11 servings of grains and carbohydrates every day.
Mm-hmm.
And they, as I said, they eliminated fats from the diet. Well, there's only three types of what they call macros, three types of foods you can eat. And one is fats, the other is
Mm-hmm.
carbohydrates, and the other is protein. It's going to fall into one of
Mm-hmm.
the three categories. And what they did was eliminate most all of the fats. And fats are necessary. It's actually something
Yeah.
good for if we eat the right type of fats. So they eliminated that from the diet and then put in these carbohydrates. Well, I'll tell you something. If you're a farmer or rancher and you're
Mm-hmm.
raising cattle and you want to take cattle to the market to sell it for slaughter, do you know what they do with the cattle for the 6 to 9 months before they take it to market?
No.
They feed it grain. They feed it these carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they fatten the cattle up to get a higher
Okay.
price. Comes time to slaughtering them and taking them to market. So that's what they do with cattle, and it's really similar. Our bodies were not made for
Mm-hmm.
all of this. They were made to eat uh, meats with the natural fats on them, to eat natural oils, the omega-6 oils, they call them, that's found in extra virgin olive oil,
Mm-hmm.
avocado oil, coconut oil, ghee, clarified butter,
Mm-hmm.
butter products. And they came out with all these different butter substitutes. They even have a product that's still being sold to this day. It's called I Can't Believe It's Not Butter.
This
Well,
butter. Yeah, I can't believe it's butter.
but
Yeah.
and it's not good for you. It's
So you know.
these artificial ingredients in it that are actually toxic to the body. And I'm not just picking on that. I'm saying the high
Mm-hmm.
fructose corn syrup that we see everywhere and all different versions of sugars. Another thing that happened in the 1980s was as the cigarette companies were facing all of these lawsuits and problems, they started getting out of the tobacco industry and they bought three major food companies. They bought General Mills, they bought Nestle's food, and and with major names like Oreo
Mm-hmm.
cookies, this and that. And what they did,
Mm-hmm.
turned their scientists loose on trying to make the food follow the same model that they used with tobacco. And what they did, they tried to make tobacco as addictive as possible to humans.
Mm-hmm.
And they turned these scientists loose who tried to make food addictive
Wow.
to people just as well. And they did things like the
Mm-hmm.
satiety test, the mouth crunch test, how it felt in your mouth, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the best selling products of all time are Oreo cookies. I used to love Oreo
Correct.
cookies. And but they enhance these with putting the wrong type of fats in it, the wrong type of sugar that's toxic to the human body, but people are addicted to it, and so it, and they buy more and more of it. You can eat a
Mm-hmm.
bag of Oreo cookies, and you're full, but you'll still be hungry for more because it creates a dopamine response in the brain
Right.
where after you eat it, that dopamine drops sharply and you want more and
Mm-hmm.
more, even though you've had it recently. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the issues. And then a third issue is we've been inundated with heavy metals and other toxins.
Mm-hmm.
For example, fluoride in the water is
Mm-hmm.
a heavy metal that's toxic to the human body.
Mm-hmm.
Aluminum, when you cook an aluminum pan,
Mm-hmm.
put aluminum foil on your products and so forth, that's a heavy metal that's toxic to the body. In fact, there's studies that
Mm-hmm.
show that aluminum is linked to Alzheimer's disease and other thing. And they call uh, Alzheimer's disease, another word for it is type 3 diabetes because the
Diabetes. It's
sugar,
diabetes. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The sugar that's in your body, the insulin can't keep up with it and it circulates through the blood brain barrier, goes to the brain, and that
Mm-hmm.
causes the neurons not to be able to connect. Most of the neurons of the brain are actually made with cholesterol. And so we cut all this cholesterol
Mm-hmm.
out of our diet thinking that's going to help heart disease. It really doesn't because that's not
You're
how
right.
cholesterol is deposited. But then we don't have the raw materials for the brain in which the brain can.
Mm-hmm.
So we have these three things coming together. We see the food pyramid, which is the wrong advice. It should really be flipped on its head and turn it upside down. And the other thing was the tobacco company
Mm-hmm.
buying the major food companies and
You're
making
right.
ultra refined, ultra processed, and addictive as possible to the mouth, and then heavy metals.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the
You're right.
heavy metals interfere with our metabolism and in our endocrine system, and that causes us to gain weight too. So, my
Correct.
program is to detoxify the body of these heavy metals, stop the addiction to sugar so that you just really don't want those products anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and realize that the food pyramid is wrong and change your eating. Since I've
Mm-hmm.
been working in this sphere, I get advertisements all the time for this product or that product or whatever, lose weight with this or that. And they say, and when you do this, then you can eat your favorite foods, still eat your favorite foods. Well, I disagree
No.
with that because it was those quote unquote favorite foods that got you to this position in the first place. And not only
Correct.
assuming they didn't cause you to regain the weight, they're still toxic because they're made with canola oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, soy oil, all these oils that are not good for you
That's true.
and are toxic to the body. So uh, if you reduce your sugar drastically, eat products with no added sugars. The only sugars that I eat are in natural
Mm-hmm.
foods like berries, berries
Okay.
and some fruits and salads. There's
Mm-hmm.
glucose actually in the lettuce leaves. I mean, you can get your glucose and carbohydrates from the lettuce, and it virtually balances itself out because they're high.
And green leafy vegetables helps your body to excrete the heavy metals also.
You're exactly right. That's exactly right. That's one of the that does it. They bind those heavy metal particles, and you can excrete them and
Mm-hmm.
get rid of them from your body that way. So having large salads, there's some people who do
Mm-hmm.
what's called carnivore. They eat meat only. I just don't think that's
Mm-hmm.
healthy. It causes issues like constipation, but it doesn't provide the fiber that we need to get rid of these heavy metals which is something
Correct.
that we need to do.
So I just want to clarify for the audience. Um, there are a couple things. When you start your journey, when you're cooking, when you're cooking, you don't want to use any seed oil.
That's
It's canola oil, sunflower oil, this Crisco stuff, all of these new oils, they've been marketing these seed oils. You need to reduce your cooking to just four different types of oils.
That's correct.
Lard,
Yeah, lard.
lard,
Yes, that's right.
lard is one.
Yes,
Olive oil,
yes.
any type of animal fat, any type of
Right,
animal fat,
right. Animal fat. Yeah. So I use a
and butter,
and,
butter and ghee,
right. That's right. And
butter, ghee.
yeah, yeah.
That's what you want to use when you're cooking: butter, ghee, animal fat, lard, olive oil. You want to stay away from the seed oils.
Right.
On top of that, try to stay away from aluminum foil.
You're
Try to stay away from fluorinated water out of your tap. Almost, I would say 100% of local water in cities and suburbs have fluorinated water. You
that
don't want to drink tap water. You don't want to cook with the tap water.
you're exactly right. That's true. That's true. I have a filter on the water going into my RV, so
Mm-hmm.
it's filtered as it comes in to take that out, and then the water that I drink, I use a Brita filter, to get that. So I filter it twice as it comes in, and
Reverse osmosis.
yeah, exactly, exactly. That's a key to preserving health, and
Right.
it's a simple thing to do, but it's something that you have to consciously do. And then these things like high fructose corn syrup, that
Mm-hmm.
is addicting, but it, when you stop using it, when you get over it, you'll go through a period of transition. It's like going cold turkey, but when you do get to the other side of it, about a week
Right.
later, you won't crave those things anymore. You'll be on the other side of it, and you can look at it and just say, nope, that's not for me. I don't want the health ramifications, the health problems that come with eating that. That's what got me here. I'm going to give that up. It's a small sacrifice to make, but it will pay big dividends. And if a person can lose just 10% of their body weight, just 10%, they will have major medical benefits. And then if they need more than 10% to lose, once you lose that first 10%, then go for the second 10%. And now you're proving to yourself you can do it. And what I want to do, Carl, is help encourage people and let them know you can do it. There's a
Mm-hmm.
graph that the CDC put out where it asked people at any given age group category how many people in the past year were on a diet. And over 50% of the people at any one given time in any year period are on a diet. And that makes sense because there's 70% overweight, but it also shows something too. If all these people, 50% or more, are on a diet, it shows that diets don't work. And there's a reason they don't
Correct.
work out because they keep doing it over and over again. But in the 60-year-old category and older, the number of people that are on a diet falls off sharply, and it doesn't say
Mm-hmm.
why. I never asked the follow-up question, but I think I know why. I think I know why the answer is that it's not that people who are 60 or older don't need to diet; they're just as overweight as the younger groups, um, if not more so. I think they just get discouraged and they say, hey,
Right.
you know what? I've tried this before. I've been there, done that. I've yo yo dieted, and I'm just going to be heavy the rest of my life, resigning themselves to all of the health problems that come with that. And what I want to do is show people, hey, you know what? I don't care what age you are. You can. I'm 75 now, and I,
Right.
I feel much, much younger. As I said, I don't.
Right. I'm 61.
Yeah, you know, for me, age is a number. It's nothing that's
Right.
limited to me now. So
Right.
help
Now,
people.
Ben, in addition to this food pyramid, they also introduced something else with that food pyramid, stating 3 square meals a day. 3 square meals a day with this carbo loading: breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
And that's counterproductive to how we were created. Man was created as hunter gatherers.
Right.
In many cases, they were lucky. They were lucky if they got 2 meals a day. And so, you would get up in the morning, maybe get something in your belly to energize you and get you out into the field on the hunt. And then once you took something down, then you bring it back in. You had to go through the skinning process, the cleaning, deboning, and everything, and finally got something to eat and cook late in the evening. And so eating 3 times a day of this carbo loaded food schedule is another component that is contributing to this obesity problem in our country.
Carl, you're exactly right. And they say you need these 3 square meals a day. Well, and that breakfast, some people say, well, breakfast is the most important meal. And what do most people have with breakfast? They have some sort of cereal that's a grain product.
Mhm.
For the kids, they've got Fruit Loops, Captain Crunch, all of these, things, even the Frosted Flakes, all with
Mhm.
sugar. And that's the worst
Sugar.
thing you can get. If you skipped breakfast and just had lunch and dinner, or somehow change it. For me, I might eat a breakfast and lunch and then that's it. But if you can limit it to 2 meals a day, and then the other time,
Exactly.
giving your digestive system a rest, and that
Mhm.
has major benefits, because what your body will do, your body can self heal itself. It is called autophagy, where it gets rid of the old worn out cells that need to be replaced. And the way to achieve this autophagy is by not eating for a period of time. So if you
Mhm.
say eat in a 6 hour window, you have lunch and dinner from say 12 noon to 6 p.m. at night, you're on uh, basically what's called an 18-6 diet, 18 and 6 for the 24 hours a day. You have a 6 hour
Mhm.
eating window, and you don't eat for those other 18 hours. And that, giving your body a rest from having to go through the digestive process, also works wonders, helps people lose weight, and
Mhm.
helps
Mhm.
maintain health through autophagy, and just giving your system a rest.
Well, yeah, I'm a biochemist, and I'm going back into my memory banks here. But when you do something like that, when you place these periods in between eating and not eating, it kind of promotes this starvation kind of biochemical pathways. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's called ketosis, which allows you to start burning fat, getting rid of the fat. Your body starts, hey, we haven't eaten. Okay, guess what? We're not eating. We're not getting anything in the belly. Guess what? We need energy. Where do we go to get energy from? Your body goes into fat burning.
Carl, you're exactly right. And ketosis comes about when we have low carbohydrates in our system and our insulin is lower. Then our body looks for the fat stores in our body. All of us have plenty of fat stores. Even people
Correct.
with body fat, you still have enough body fat for the body to burn. It doesn't go into starvation at all. It starts
Mm-mm.
burning fat, and that's
Fat.
the the keys permanently losing weight. That is to burn fat and not muscle. It's helpful for you. They found that people in ketosis, for example, uh, nearly 100 years ago, they found that it helps children with epilepsy. If they put them in a
Mm-hmm.
ketosis diet, their uncontrollable seizures stopped. It's good for the brain. The brain can live on these ketones. Your body can live on
Mm-hmm.
ketones. And it works. Your body has an amazing mechanism for self healing. And yeah, as we do this, you'll see tremendous benefits from it. You sleep better, you'll have more energy, You'll preserve your muscle mass, and that's one of the main things for most people on a general restrictive diet. They
Mm-hmm.
either eat less, exercise more, whatever weight loss they have. 25% is muscle loss. So that means if somebody loses 40 pounds, 25% of that
Mm-hmm.
is 10 pounds. So they've lost 10 pounds of muscle and they get to their target weight. Now they don't have that muscle. They've lost 10 pounds of muscle that otherwise has a higher metabolic rate. So
It burns fat.
if they're eating for their new weight, they're going to gain weight because they don't have that muscle. So
So
you
anymore.
be able to lose weight preserving the muscle, and the way you do that, you do it through ketosis. you
Mm-hmm.
you eat proteins and fat, low carbohydrates. And when I say low carbohydrates, I'm talking about between 20 and 50 to 60 grams a day. It's not
Mm-hmm.
starvation by any means. I eat a lot
Mm-hmm.
of berries every day, and because of the fiber, the fiber reduces the carbohydrate count, and you
Mm-hmm.
feel healthy. You feel well, and you'll retain muscle as you lose weight, and then you've got to do some resistance weight training exercise. I'm not talking about being a bodybuilder or muscle builder per se, but if you lift weights of some sort, just doing
Mm-hmm.
push-ups. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Doing sit ups, something like that, is really important resistance training to keep the muscle. They say that having muscle tone as you age helps preserve longevity and gives you a better quality of life. So, just a little bit of exercise, and I can help people target their exercise. I can help them lose or gain, if you will, years of otherwise yo yo dieting so they don't have to do
Mm-hmm.
that anymore. I can help them with knowing what works. I've been
Mm-hmm.
there, I've done that like you. I'm a chemist. I emphasize
Mm-hmm.
biochemistry and organic nutrition
Mm-hmm.
chemistry, and we understand what it takes. So,
Correct. Now, being a lawyer or any of these professional fields that many of us have that requires us to be inside, sitting at a desk, sedentary, anything else, what can the average person do in that sort of work environment we have today to assist them in battling weight gain?
sure. And I know because I'm in a work environment right now, and limit your sweets. Don't eat fried foods. Fried
Hmm.
foods are about the worst thing because they're made with oils that are not good for you, as we've discussed. These
Hmm.
vegetable and seed oils that are not good. Just cut fried foods out of your diet. Cut soft drinks out of your diet, and I don't care,
Hmm.
energy drink or a Coca-Cola or similar product, or even diet. The diet drinks are just as
Hmm.
bad for you because they may not have the calories, but they stimulate the insulin response. And when you have
Hmm.
high insulin in your body, it creates what's called insulin resistance, and insulin starts storing fat. It will take glucose
Hmm.
out of the body and store it as fat. Glucose
Fat, yeah.
for the blood and store it as fat. So you want to be able to reduce your insulin naturally, not with these drugs they give called metformin
Hmm.
and other types of drugs like that. And these drugs that they're now doing that are injectables like Ozempic,
Hmm.
shown that 40% of the weight loss from those drugs, those injectable drugs, is muscle loss.
Also,
So
that's
that's even worse than just a regular diet where you lose
not.
5%. Now you're losing 40%, and they cost about $1,000 a month. And once you stop taking them, the weight comes back because you've lost 40% muscle weight, and it's an imbalance to the system. The side effects are not good. If you look up the side effects on these injectable
Hmm.
drugs, it's not something people need to take. And my program does not use any prescription pills or injectables or anything like that.
Okay. Now, can you break down what your typical daily schedule is from morning to evening, showing how you integrate healthy choices into your busy schedule.
Sure. Well, I try to run in the mornings, so that's when I feel a lot of energy when I wake.
Mhm.
So I'll try to get my 3 miles in, early in the morning between 6
Mhm.
and 7 a.m., something like that. Now, you don't need to jog, just walking. If you walk a half an hour a day, and preferably if you can get out and get some sunlight, the sunlight is
Son.
very beneficial for you,
Sure. Yep.
because your body creates vitamin D through sunlight, and
Mhm.
most people are vitamin D deficient. So if you can do it
Mhm.
with sunlight, more power to you. And then I typically will not eat a breakfast. And then for lunch, I'll have a big salad. Uh, I use olive oil and apple cider vinegar that I put on it, nutritional yeast, mushrooms, uh, pepper, and I'll take like a packet of salmon, say for example, 5 ounces of salmon. Put salmon on it, and 5 ounces of salad. You can buy these bags in most groceries
Mhm.
for 5 ounces, which makes it's like 5 cups worth of salad. Makes a
Mhm.
huge salad, and as I said, put mushrooms, maybe broccoli, cauliflower on it, and you've got some protein right there with the 5 ounces or so of salmon that you put on it, or chicken. You can get it out of a
Mhm.
fine. Uh, and I feel great doing that. And
Mhm.
for dinner, I've got a small George Foreman grill. I'll cook
Okay.
maybe 12 ounces of ground beef on that. And,
Mhm.
again, have that. You can sauteed vegetables. You can put some onions, some red peppers, green peppers, uh, mushrooms on that. And it tastes delicious. And
Mhm.
so, that's what I have. Oh, and I'll also have, as I mentioned, sometime during that period of time, some plain yogurt with regular milk fat yogurt, not zero milk fat, but milk fat yogurt, and I'll put some blackberries, like a 6 ounce canister of blackberries or raspberries, for example. Put
Mhm.
that, and cinnamon. Cinnamon also regulates blood glucose, so it's important, to put a lot of cinnamon on foods if you can, on foods that go with cinnamon. Coffee is great. Put some cinnamon in coffee. And
Mhm.
believe it or not, cocoa, the
Cool.
unsweetened 100% cocoa. I'm not talking about candy bars that you get with chocolate
Processed.
with
Mm.
sugar. Yeah, I'm just talking about, you can get Nestle's 100% cocoa unsweetened, and just put some of that in your coffee as well.
Mhm.
Cocoa, unsweetened cocoa, is a tremendous antioxidant for your body.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
you get a lot of health benefits from that. Well, it goes great in coffee. So
Mhm. Okay. Okay. What role do you think mindset plays in, you know, your journey of weight loss?
good question. I think mindset does play an important role, but let me put it this way. People say change your mindset and you'll change your body. I think it's true. If you change your body, you'll change your mindset. For example,
Mm.
if you if you put your hands up in the air like you're running 100-yard dash and you just crossed the finish line and you're first, and you throw your hands up in the air like a victory.
Mhm.
If you just stand right now, put your hands up in the air and say, I feel great,
Mhm. Mhm.
high five your neighbor. It actually changes your body chemistry and physiology and metabolism. You'll feel
Mm.
just by
Better.
doing
You feel better.
right, just by doing something as simple as that. So you've changed your body, and that changes your mindset. So I think the two work hand in hand. I think the mindset is such, you have to believe you can do it. And then
Mhm.
as you start doing it, you, and you get some of these toxins out of your body, and the glucose out of your body, it will change your mindset for the better. And you'll say, I can do this. I'm doing this right now. It may take me
Hmm.
another 2 or 3 months or 4 months to get to my target weight, but I'm doing it. And every day I'm on that journey. I'm feeling better every day. If we say every day in every way, I'm feeling better and better, that mindset and being grateful for the health that we have, I think you can do it.
So it seems as if you've created your own program, and this is a program that doesn't include any prescription drugs, any supplements, any injections, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely. Now, I do have like natural vitamin supplements and
Hmm.
vitamin D supplements and
Right,
things like that, but not prescription supplements. Nothing
right,
prescription.
right. Now, have you given this program a name or have you packaged it?
Well, I have packaged it. I wrote a book about it. The book is
Okay.
on sale on Amazon. It's called Ben Slay's, my name, Ben Slay's
Mm,
Permanent Weight Loss Method Revealed. Because
okay.
what I think is the key, a lot of people can lose weight, but they gain back. What I'm talking about,
Correct.
permanent weight loss, which will necessarily entail lifestyle changes, but they're easy to do and you can do it and accomplish it. And I guarantee you, on the other end of it, with the energy that you have, the vibrancy that
Hmm.
you have, it's worth it. So there's this book I've written. I've created a Facebook group called Ben Slay's Permanent Weight Loss Achievers. It's free to join
Okay.
on Facebook. You can join that
Okay.
group. DM me and I can tell you about the program that I offer, different programs, that sort of
Well,
thing.
we're going to make sure it's in all this information is in the promos and in the show notes because a lot of this information is, it's just not packaged right and it's not readily available to the masses. So we want to make sure we get this out here. I do have another question though. How long does it generally take before someone starts feeling noticeable changes versus seeing notable changes?
Sure. Carl, what my program is, it's a 90-day program, 3 months, 13.
Mm-hmm.
And if it you lose 1% of your body weight a week, that would be 13% over 3 weeks. And that's
Mm-hmm.
considered safe by all of
Okay.
the medical rules that you see in the FDA. They say that 1% a week is safe. The body can tolerate this. More than that is not necessarily good. It's not a quick fix diet. And in
Mm-hmm.
13 weeks, so if you lose 1% a week, you'll lose 10 to 13% of your body weight if you follow this program. And I will guarantee that. And if somebody for whatever reason doesn't lose 10% of their body weight in those 90 days, they can stay on in the program for another 90 days until they
Mm-hmm.
lose 10%. So I can guarantee that if they follow the program, they will lose 10% of their body weight, which has significant health benefits. So for somebody
Mm-hmm.
that's 220 pounds, they'll lose 22 pounds in those 13 weeks. They'll be down to 198. They'll be below 200.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know they can do it. It's proven. I've proven it. People that I'm working with have proven it.
Okay. So is this program not for anyone, or is it for any adult or teenager who's having weight issues? This is a program that's safe and has a level of efficacy that they should be able to implement this and get great results.
Yes, that's true. Now I have to say, as you've seen these warnings or advice,
Hmm.
and before you begin a diet, consult with your primary healthcare physician.
Okay. Okay.
So, once you get the approval of your primary healthcare physician, yes, this is safe, it's effective, it's a time advantage program. As I said, 1% of body weight a week is safe and effective, and uh, you can do it. And the diet itself is not some fad diet, and ultimately, once you reach your ideal weight through low carbohydrate, you can transition to what's called the Mediterranean diet, which has been proven to be a very
Mm-hmm.
helpful diet for masses of people to stay on.
Mm-hmm.
That's once you get to your final weight, so you won't
With
be
optimum weight.
yourself. You just you'll enjoy a Mediterranean diet, and the reason
Mm-hmm.
that I offer Mediterranean diet from day one is because you want faster results. You want to be able to do
Mm-hmm.
90 days, and that's where the low carbs comes in. In 90 days, you'll be there. You will have lost 10% and know what to do to lose that next 10% should you need to
Mm-hmm.
lose that. You'll be on your own,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
on your way.
Now, this is something that I tell most people, being a biochemist, and they're shocked, and they're overweight, and they're saying, "Oh, well, I'm going to go on a diet, or I'm going to start exercising," and then I look at them, and do you know what the first thing I ask them? Have you ever detoxed?
Right. Yeah.
They'll look at me, what? I said, one of the most important organs involved in digestion and weight gain is your liver.
Is the liver
A lot
abs?
of people, a lot of people's livers are not functioning at full capacity
Right.
because they have absorbed all this toxicity, and all it stores all of that stuff there in your liver. And that's a big problem that most people have with weight gain, with weight gain. And so the very first thing you should be doing is finding a good liver detox. Is there something that you would recommend for that, Ben?
Yes, you're absolutely
Or
right.
am I right? Am I correct? First.
You're absolutely right. And number one, another measurement, we talked about the BMI. There's another measurement, and that is your waist to your height. So
Mm-hmm.
your waist should be no more than 50% of your height. So in other words, like I'm, uh, say it's 6 feet, 72
Mm-hmm.
inches. That would mean half of that is 36 inches. So my
Mm-hmm.
weight should be 36 inches or less. And for me, it is less than that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another way of telling you your waist. In men they say it's a beer belly, but what that means,
Mm-hmm.
if the ratio of your waist to your height is greater than 50%, that means you've got visceral fat, which means that's fat around your organs, especially your liver, and that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get rid of that. You want to get to the point where your waist is no more than 50% of your height. And that's one thing
Exactly.
to do with this too. Another way to detox, we talked about these heavy metals. A lot of them are stored in the
Mm-hmm.
liver. One way to get rid of them, there is a substance called zeolite, which comes from volcanic ash, zeolite.
Mm-hmm.
And you can buy it on Amazon. It comes in various different
Mm-hmm.
forms, a liquid where you take drops of it, or you can take pills, supplements, powders, whatever. But zeolite attracts these heavy metals, will help get rid of them. But you definitely have to detox your liver. In fact, one thing, I didn't do it when I started, but over 2 years ago, I stopped drinking all alcohol. I don't drink it,
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
I better for it. Now, I'm not telling people they don't need to have a glass of wine every now and then, but I
Mm-hmm.
will say this: they have shown that people that have 2 glasses of wine a day or 2 beers a day have a much more unhealthy liver than those that limit themselves to no more
Mm-hmm.
than one a day, and then hopefully you'll be able to get rid of it altogether. Uh, So I just feel so much better for having done that as well.
Right. Now, can you tell the audience what are some of the challenges that they're going to face when they start this weight loss journey, and how do you deal with some of those challenges?
Sure. One of the things is like people, because of the sugar, they're dopamine addicted in their brains. The dopamine
Mm-hmm.
feel good. And it comes from a sugar high. You want to keep on taking that sugar high. And just like with any drug, when you're getting rid of that drug from the body, you go through withdrawal symptoms. And it may
Hmm.
take like 2 weeks or 3 weeks as you go through withdrawal where you'll crave that sugar. And what I say is, take coffee with cinnamon, put that cinnamon in it. Do
Hmm.
something else. Go for a walk. Get some sunshine. Uh, take some protein. Maybe cook that extra hamburger or something like that. But don't give in to the sugar. And you'll have withdrawal symptoms, yes. But when you get to the other side of that, and it's just like in 2 or 3 weeks, you will not crave those sugars anymore. I guarantee you.
Hmm. Okay. So that sugar craving is the biggie then.
Yes, yeah, that's one of the big things. And then just realizing you're going to have plateaus. In fact,
Hmm.
in my program, I tell the people, don't weigh yourself every day.
Hmm.
You know, weigh yourself once a week. Uh, that's just for accountability, and you're accountable to yourself. I'll be your accountability partner. But it, weight is not. It doesn't come down linearly in a line,
Hmm.
down and up and down, so forth like that. But generally, a downward trend. And if you just weighed once a week, that's sufficient, and keeps you on track. That sort of thing, and you'll see tremendous benefits. And I want to encourage people and let them know you can do it. This is something
Right.
that's easy. You can do it. If I
Ben, what strategies do you use in social situations or business meetings when food is present?
Sure, I go to lunches all the time. People eat the chips and so forth. Like, people eat a whole bowl of chips in front of them, and ask them
Dip.
for another one, and they've already had 400 or 500 calories before the meal is even served. And
Right.
what I'll do, I won't call attention to it or something like that.
Hmm.
I may put a chip or two on my plate, and people think I'm eating, and they don't really care what you're eating. They're not really that concerned with it.
Hmm.
Maybe move it around the plate or something like that, or break, put a little, you know, chili sauce on the side or something. I don't
Hmm.
eat it, and nobody cares. I mean, you can be in a
Right.
situation. Nobody's going to say what you're not eating because you put some food out there. That sort of thing. And when it comes time, like we're facing Christmas time and New Year's, there's going to be a lot of cakes and pies and this and that.
Hmm.
You know what? I'll put a tiny slice on my plate, and I may or may not eat it, and walk off. I don't have
Okay.
to eat anything. I might eat a teaspoon of it just to
You're right.
for appearance, but I don't have.
You're right. What are some of the common myths about weight loss that you'd like to debunk?
Sure. Uh, I'd like to debunk the myth that uh, weight loss is that you're going to always yo-yo diet back and forth and
Mhm.
back and forth. I can prove you can lose it and keep it off permanently. I also want to debunk the myth that once you lose the weight, you can go back to eat whatever you want. Just continue with this supplement or that or whatever. It doesn't work. Uh, in fact, I've read of people that wanted to have bariatric surgery. Which is
Mhm.
a stomach staple or something.
People. Yep.
Surgery on their stomach or intestines that makes it very small, so they don't want it. And some people, they're told if they weigh, they're morbidly obese, they weigh 450 pounds or something. The doctor says, you've got to lose 100 pounds before you can have the surgery. The
Surgery. Right.
surgery could be life threatening. And my feeling is, hey, if you've lost the 100 pounds to get the surgery, you can do it. You don't need this.
Right.
You're already on the track. And statistics show people that have this bariatric surgery because they've
Hmm.
had a surgical removal of part of their stomach or where it's cut off. If they're not given nutrition training, that weight comes back. A large
Right.
percentage of the people, even with bariatric surgery, they'll lose the weight initially, but without learning about nutrition, permanent life changes, they can gain that weight back anyway. And my
Okay.
feeling, boy, if you've gone through the pain of having the surgery and put up with that, learn the lifestyle changes so you don't ever go back to that again. And that's what I can
Okay.
teach.
Okay. Ben, can you tell us about the moment you realized you had not only lost the weight, but you were going to keep it off?
Sure. I was really glad when I lost the weight and I was able to fit in my
Mm-hmm.
dress blues once again. But I thought, hey, a lot of people lose weight. But then when I realized, in fact, it's just been within the past 6 months or so. Hey, I've kept it off for 5.5, 6 years now, over 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the achievement. That's what I want to help people.
Right.
You can do it, but it's not through typical dieting. In fact, just calorie restriction, exercising more is really not the recipe for long-term weight loss. It's got to be something that deals with your hormones, something that's akin with the way your body works and its biochemistry and metabolism.
And that's the big point. When people look at weight loss, it seems like it's like this mysterious box that no one understands, and that everybody has this secret solution, when in fact it's all about chemistry.
Yes, that's right.
It's 100 about percent about body chemistry. And listeners, if you listen to what Benjamin is saying here, we're both chemists, and we really haven't talked or communicated, but we are on the same line. This weight loss problem that the United States has to do with misinformation fed by the government, heavy metals, compounds placed into our food to promote weight gain, and more eating.
That's true.
And when you learn the chemistry behind all of this, which is what Ben's going to teach you, now you're armed to defeat this problem that 70% of Americans are facing. Ben, we're winding down to the end of the show, and at this point in time, I give my guest the opportunity to ask me these questions.
Sure. Uh, I would like to ask your listeners what their biggest challenge has been. And I've worked with people. Some of them have challenges of just believing. Can I really
Hmm.
do this? Is this something that will work for me? Guarantee
Hmm.
if it worked for me and I had all sorts of health issues. I'm not some genetic miracle. My family genealogy had heart disease, diabetes,
Hmm.
overweight, high blood pressure, you name it. So it's not like I have exceptionally good genes, but through the proper eating and chemistry and nutrition, I did it, and I want to transfer that to you as well to
Hmm.
help you, the listener out there, realize that you can do it. And it's not
Hmm.
if I can do it, you.
Okay. For someone starting their weight loss journey today, what would be your top three pieces of advice?
Good question. I would say number one, start limiting your carbs to fruits and vegetables and salads, and look at ingredients. Look at
Hmm.
the boxes that you pick up, the packages, whatever. And if it says added sugars, if the product has added sugars, and look for glucose, fructose, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, uh, mannose, all of these different sugar products, and they're disguised. They don't
Hmm.
necessarily put them out there where you're going to realize what it is. but study those labels and don't eat those products. Basically, if it's a product that's in a package and with the preservatives that are in it, it's not that good for you. For example,
Right.
bread. You know, if you look at all the things, bread normally will have mold on it 4 or 5 days after it's made, but they
Mm-hmm.
put other preservatives in so that it has a shelf life where that bread can sit on a shelf 2 weeks, 3 weeks before it's
Mm-hmm.
sold. Uh, if you can make fresh bread, you've gone a long way. You've avoided those preservatives.
Mm-hmm.
Cut out fried foods. The
Mm-hmm.
oils that foods are fried in, and they use those oils over and over and over again at high temperatures, and that denatures them and makes them even more toxic for the body.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say cut out all fried foods, limit your carbohydrates to nothing but fruit and vegetables, and walk. Get some sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to run marathons or anything like that. I've run them in the past, but if you just walk for 30 minutes a day, it will have tremendous benefit to you, especially if you can do it in the sunlight. So start slow, and you'll start.
Okay. Now, I want to delve in. I'd be remiss since we're talking about weight loss, weight gain, healthy living. What do you think about this concept of juicing fruits, juicing vegetables, and supplementing that into your diet?
Sure. Uh, I think that in juicing fruits, for example, if you take an orange that has all the pulp in it and this and that, and just
Hmm.
orange, for example, you get all the sugars from the orange, the natural sugars, but you don't have the fiber, you don't have the pulp, you don't have the things that it came
Hmm.
with. That's true for most vegetables. If you juice a
Hmm.
carrot juice, which has a lot of natural sugars in it, but
Hmm.
the fiber that comes from the carrot or cucumber,
Hmm.
for example, or kale leaves or
Hmm.
whatever. So uh, I'm I'm in favor of eating the natural food itself because I think our
Okay.
body need to have that fiber. If you do,
Fiber.
you're just extracting the sugars and the liquids from it. You're giving up all those fibers that are really good for you.
Okay.
Especially like celery, something like that. You should eat those
Hmm.
those fibers and sinews. So while it may not be the worst thing in the world, I would say don't get your calories from what you drink by juicing, but rather eat the food itself.
Okay. Good advice. Good advice. Where can our listeners learn more about your work and connect with you on their weight loss journey?
Sure, I would say I have a Facebook group. If you look at my name, Ben
Hmm.
Sley, Ben Slay's Permanent Weight Loss Achievers on Facebook. That's one way you can do it. I'm there, or on Instagram, I'm at BB Slay, my initials BB Bravo Bravo
Hmm.
Slay. And Facebook, I'm Benjamin Slay. DM me, and I'll be glad to
Okay.
answer every DM that I get personally. So uh, join that group. It's free to join. Say where you've heard Carl Allen's podcast. I'll be glad to.
And your book is on Amazon, isn't it?
I have a book on Amazon. That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
You with a
So
book.
my assistant, we're going to make sure that all of this information is in in all the promos we put out, and it's going to be part of the show notes. So, audience, this is how you get in contact with Ben Slay and get started on your weight loss journey. And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the All About Us podcast. Remember to subscribe and join us next week for more transformative stories. I'm Carl Allen signing off. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.